presidential election and even the gubernatorial election have said, this Republican Party just doesn't appreciate those of us in Northern Virginia, and as much as people talk about a war on coal, there seems to be a war on Northern Virginia, and there's almost belief that in order for one region of the state to win, another region of the state needs to lose, and this has been a tremendous advantage to the Democrats in the Northern Virginia area. I'm wondering what the Republican Party will be, saying in order to win voters in this area, but then also how will that message resonate with people in the other portions of the state who might see, state elections as sort of zero-sum between regions?
Okay, John, thanks for your call. John Whitbeck.
Yeah, what a fantastic question. Sums up the dilemma that the Republican Party faces in every election that's statewide in this Commonwealth. I mean, as I said, we're very different regions. And being a Northern Virginia voter myself, I uniquely understand, when we're sitting in traffic every day, these are the struggles, when I got less time with my kids because I got more time on the road, infrastructure, tax reform, the economy, the kind of hits that we take in the real estate market, different things. I mean, this is, Northern Virginia is uniquely situated, being that it is so close to the federal government, that we have a unique set of circumstances. One of the things I think that Ed Gillespie brings to the table is an understanding of those issues in Northern Virginia, the understanding that federal workers are an important part of our economy up here, the understanding that transportation is really what people are looking for. In my home county of Loudoun County, one of the issues that absolutely drives people to the polls is the Greenway and the overwhelming tolls that are charged. I mean, people talk about building Greenway alternatives, building a second bridge over from Loudoun County into Montgomery County. Transportation dominates the discussion in Northern Virginia, and the candidate that has the best plan and the best the best message on that issue, I think, is going to be the one that does well.
Do you want that second bridge?
What's that?
Do you want that second bridge?
I'm not a policy guy. I'm a mechanics guy. I'm all about door knocking and phone calling. But I'll tell you,
we can ask you about Hyperloop to New York too.
You at least ought to look at it.
Well, I absolutely. And my own state delegate, Randy Minshew, put in a bill to study that 2 sessions ago, and I support that 100%. But I think what we need to do is look at ways that we can reduce these tolls. I mean, I'll tell you, you talk about one issue that we hear at the doors when we're knocking. It's the fact that you have to pay $25 by the time you're done counting the express lanes to get down Reston or East. And that's something that I think the candidate that has the best message on transportation in Northern Virginia is the one that's going to do the best.
We're talking with John Whitbeck. He is the chairman of the Virginia Republican Party. You can join our conversation by calling 800-433-8850, tweeting us at Kojo Show, going on to Facebook and leaving a question or comment on our live video stream there, or by emailing us at kojo@wmu.org. I'm Michael Martinez, sitting in for Kojo Namdi today, joined in the studio by Tom Sherwood, our resident analyst, a reporter at NBC4, who's about to ask the next question.
Yes, well, you didn't mention hot air balloons. I don't know if you heard the show earlier. We were talking about hot air balloons from Roslyn to Georgetown, but and also you sit here. You're a lawyer, right?
I am.
It's an easy guess in this region, but you don't sound either vicious or ruthless. Now bring that up.
Who said that?
Oh yes, who is that? Corey Stewart, who nearly knocked off Ed Gillespie, has jumped ahead into the U.S. Senate race to oppose Tim. I keep saying the wrong name. Tim Kaine. I want to say McCain. I got them all mixed up. Anyway, it's just the words vicious and ruthless got me confused there. He's running for a Senate race next year when the Republican Party in Virginia is aggressively trying to stay active on the governor's race. What effect is Corey Stewart's Senate campaign going to have on the Republicans in November?
Well, I think this is an interesting debate that we've been having internally. And there's going to be more than Corey Stewart. I know of at least 3 other candidates who are going to announce eventually over the course of the next few months. At least that's where they are now. If you are a Corey Stewart supporter, the most important thing that you can do to help your candidate win in 2018 is win the governor's race in 2017.
And pay attention to the House races.
That's right.
The delegate
because
races.
let's be real. If we don't win a statewide race in 2017, the Republican Party, we're a blue state. I have to argue. I have to have some credibility behind my arguments when I say we're a swing state. And having lost 7 straight statewide races, the Virginia Republican Party's got a lot to get done this year if we're going to do it. So if you're a Corey Stewart supporter, and I'm talking to you folks in Prince William County, and you want to see your guy in 2018 be the next senator from the great Commonwealth of Virginia, we got to win this governor's race, because nobody's going to take seriously that Virginia is a top 10 targeted state for winning that Senate race if we don't demonstrate we can do it in 2017.
Can I just follow up? Because when I said vicious and ruthless, we were referring to Corey Stewart's announcement that he's going to run. He said he's going to run a vicious campaign, a ruthless campaign. Where do you think that fits into the Virginia way of politics?
And can you describe what the Virginia way is?
Yes, the Virginia way is that you be aggressive, but there's a certain gentlemanliness and politeness that goes with being a public official and a candidate for office, and that it is not vicious and ruthless. It might be aggressive, but it's not mean-spirited, which is what that suggests, at least to me.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate in our current system this is going on. I mean, one of the things that I'm just shocked with, we talk about the Kathy Griffin severed head event. We talk about, the quote unquote resistance, and even down here when I was down in Washington D.C. for my RNC meeting, the profane signs that are made of the president and the language. I mean, the DNC chair never misses a chance to use a 4-letter word when he's speaking. We've deteriorated our political discourse significantly, and I don't want to see that happen in Virginia. Ralph Northam and Ed Gillespie, at this end of the day, want the same thing: what's best for our Commonwealth. They have totally different ideas how to deal with it. And myself and my wonderful counterpart on the Democrat side, she is such a class act. We have a very good relationship. We totally disagree on everything, just about. But that's
sounds like a marriage,
right?
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, my wife will tell you that. It used to be a situation where, in my legal profession, same thing. You could disagree during the day, and you go out and you have a beer together. And I really would like us to get back to that. I hope this era of polarization really goes away quickly. It's just not something that we need to continue doing. Having said that, people in Virginia and the American people want a fighter. They're tired of politics as usual. They're tired of their own party and my party betraying them. We have 3 senators right now who are refusing to vote to repeal Obamacare, who campaigned on joining with us in repealing Obamacare. And people are just tired of it. And that's why the Drain the Swamp and all these messages are so effective, is because people are tired of politics as usual in Washington. That trickles down into Virginia, and politics as usual in Richmond. Fortunately, in Richmond, we get things done. We have a balanced budget because we have to under our Constitution. Transportation is always a struggle, but we try to tackle that every year. We don't have the kind of gridlock that we have in Washington. And, people want a fighter, and you can be a fighter without being angry and obnoxious and using profanity.
Well, can I ask you a question about where that leaves somebody like Barbara Comstock, who represents the part of Virginia that's your neck of the woods? Yeah. What do you feel is the right strategy for her? Because she's put some distance between herself and the administration. At the same time, she has to hold on to the voters who are enthusiastic about the party. Democrats are really enthusiastic about the chance of picking up her seat next year.
Not going to happen.
Where does she go from here? Why not?
I don't know how many times she has to blow out her opponents before people say that seat's out of play. Every year they attack her. They say nasty, sexist, horrible things about her. There's a group here and a group there that pops up, and they yell and scream about Barbara Comstock and this and that. She's just like Trump, even though she's on the right, people say she's distancing herself from Trump. She's the hardest working woman in politics. She knocks doors. She makes phone calls. She raises incredible amounts of money. She's highly respected on the Hill. Right as a freshman congresswoman, she walked right in as if she'd been there for 20 years. This is a superstar in the Republican Party. And look, do I agree with her on the distance from the president? I don't. I think that as Republicans, we got to support our president. But Barbara Comstock, I don't know what she has to do to get the respect she deserves as a candidate and as a legislator. She's everywhere. She doesn't sleep. I get emails from her at 3 a.m. It's amazing. She's talking about issues and asking me how she can help us win. She's all in for Ed Gillespie. I mean, I can't say enough good things about her. But the Democrat, you want to throw money away? Go right ahead. We'll do it again.
Her biggest opponent is the changing demographics of Northern Virginia. Some of the
I guess, but she is
that's
super
longer term.
Well, but she is super popular in the Indian American, South Asian, and Muslim communities in Northern Virginia. I went with her right after the November election to the Adams Center, one of our largest mosques, reiterated, how welcoming we wanted to be in the 10th district and in Virginia as a whole. She's super popular in the Indian American community. A lot of people don't realize in Loudoun County and Western Fairfax and areas of Prince William how important that community is, how vibrant it is. Some precincts are in the 80s and 90%. We have a wonderful delegate candidate, Suba Kola, raising records amount of money. You should see the finance reports from this gentleman. You've never heard. It's not the usual donors. Nobody knows who these people are. They're all new people that he's bringing into the party. And so I agree with you, Tom, 100%. And it's been one of my top focuses as chairman. We have to focus on bringing our message to new communities. But Barbara Comstock's already doing that, and she has tremendous support in the Asian, South Asian, Muslim, and other communities in her district.
I want to take a call here from Amanda, who is calling, I believe, from Bluemont, Virginia. And it's my understanding she wants to push back a little bit on the idea of where the political tone, where the vulgarity in tone is coming from. Amanda, you're on the air. Go ahead. It's your turn.
Hi. I noticed the gentleman bringing up Kathy Griffin and the DNC chair as reasons for the political discourse falling apart in our country. I noticed that he didn't mention a congressman that hit a journalist, or Ted Nugent, or our president, who was probably one of the most vulgar people I've ever heard speak, period. I think he started it. I understand that the Republicans were pushing against the PC nature of our political discourse. So I'm wondering exactly, what does he think about the president's discourse?
Okay, Amanda, thank you. Thank you so much for your call. John Whitbeck.
Yeah, I've been very vocal, at least during the campaign, when I disagree with the president and when there's something inappropriate. I've been very, very vocal about that. But I think what's happened and what we've seen, and the president is very frustrated, and the staff, who we're close with, and the RNC is very frustrated with the fact that the president's message can never get out there without it being distilled down by certain segments of the media, turning it on its head. And I'll give you a good example. There was a story that came out recently about Ed Gillespie and talking about how he's being, and this is in the Washington Post. I was at all the meetings related that the story talked about. And it was all about how the RNC and the White House are taking over the Ed Gillespie campaign. It was absolutely fake news. I was at those meetings. I saw it. There is no takeover. There was no frustrations. Everybody's on board with Ed Gillespie. And those are the kind of things the president faces every day. The president has the front page of the Washington Post. If you read it, I read it cover to cover because I do opposition research. If you look at the front page of the Washington Post, all the stories are from unnamed sources close to the conversation, or unnamed sources who heard from this or heard from that. And the White House is very frustrated with the fact that their message is being distilled like that. That never happened in the Obama administration. So the president is forced to...
I don't know about that,
no,
but maybe not to this degree. Maybe this degree.
Well, Tom, you know better than I do, being that you're in the media. But I will tell you, there is no question this White House faces the most biased media in the history of our republic. It's documented. It's well documented. The chief of staff, Priebus, goes on, shows documents. The first right out of the gate. Fake news story about him removing the bust of Martin Luther King. Well, guess what? I was there last week in the Oval Office. It's still right there, and it looks fantastic.
I don't think the media, I'm not going to defend the media here, except to say we obviously do make mistakes. Now, the Washington Post story about the national Republican concern about the Gillespie campaign did almost immediately, within a week and a half, follow Mr. Gillespie changing how he approached President Trump. So maybe there was something to it. Maybe it wasn't as horrific as it was made to be sound by the reporter. Not that so much fake news, but a different interpretation. But I want to ask you about a delegate race, because that's where the fights are. Bob Marshall, veteran member of the House, Prince William County. Danica Rome was on the show, his opponent, Democratic opponent. She's a transgender stepmother. and her campaign is about Route 28 and the horrors of that roadway. What do you think about that race? I haven't heard much from Bob Marshall about it.
And we're running short on time, so if you can answer in
sorry.
about 30 seconds.
Well, the Democrat candidate's smart to talk about those issues, because going head-to-head with Bob Marshall on anything else is going to be very difficult. He consistently wins in a district that's overwhelmingly Democratic. He's going to win again. He always does. And I don't see that race as competitive. But I do commend, I'll give credit where credit is due. Talking about the issues that matter to voters in that district like Route 28 is the right way to go.
Well, you have to tweet when you're. Do you have a Twitter handle?
Absolutely.
What is
Love
it?
Twitter. At John Whitbeck.
Okay, I'll watch it for this debate tomorrow at 11 o'clock.
I'll be there.
Well, John Whitbeck, thank you so much for joining us. John
Thank you.
Whitbeck is the chair